So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a breathing exercise. We're going to do drumming breath. So I need you to be sitting up nice and straight. Shoulders are backing down. Strong back, but a soft front. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to hit my drum. This is a djembe from Africa. So very cool. My friend Joe gave it to me. So I'm going to hit it. I'm going to turn it actually this way. And you're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out for 7. Okay, so if you're someone who's really musical, if you like rhythm, or even if you don't, this is another just version of breathing that you can do. This may not be for you, but that's okay. This is just another option, especially for those of you who like to breathe to something more musically inclined. Here we go. We're let all the air out. And we're going to start now. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, stop. Did you run out of air before the end?
No.
Good. Pace yourself. Make sure that you're able to, don't let out at the beginning, okay? Just try it again. This time we're gonna do 5 breaths back to back. Ready? Let the air out. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 more breaths. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Biggest breath you've taken all day. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Beautiful. I love being able to hear you guys breathing. That's how I know that you're breathing deeply. Okay, perfect. Yes.
I was gonna say, like, before we even started breathing, like my heartbeat's really slow right now. So I'm like,
that's good. So you're feeling really calm. It's also very good to be aware of your heartbeat. Let's actually do that. Take 2 fingers to the side of your mouth. Why don't you go get that taken care of? And slide them down to 2 fingers right here, right here, right here, right here. Everybody see me 2 fingers, 2 fingers. Yep. Let me see your 2 fingers. Perfect. Take them to the corner of your mouth, not across. The same side that your hand is. So if you get your right hand, put it on your right side of your mouth, left hand, put it on the left side of your mouth, okay? Slide it down and press gently in on your next. You're not shoving your fingers in there. See if you can find your pulse. Yeah.
I want to disengage.
Perfect. That's a good thing to learn in kindergarten. Can you feel your heart beating under your fingers? If you can't, then, and some of you are pressing like this, lean the fingers, lay your fingers up against your neck. Yes. If you can't do there, you can feel here. Yep. Or you can feel here on your wrists, but we're going to find our pulse. And then for 30 seconds, I want you just to think only about your pulse, okay? Just think about that feeling. There's no right or wrong way for a pulse. So don't worry about like, is it too fast, is it too slow? Don't stress about that. Just feel it, okay? If you can't feel it and you can't find it, don't worry either. Just breathe instead, all right? Here we go. 30 seconds to just think about your pulse, starting now. All right, so how was that? Easy to find your pulse and think only about that?
I'm tired now. Easy.
What did you notice about your pulse? Anything? Yeah.
Mine went down.
Yours went down, yeah?
Like mine was like, oh wait, we're talking about falling on me.
Okay, if you want, yeah. I was calling on you, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Basically, when I started, it was like faster than it was before. But then, like when I got help like breathing and stuff, it was slow.
Okay, so as you breathe slowly, it starts to slow down. That's telling your body
It's time to be calm. You're not in fight or flight if you can regulate your breathing and communicate back to your nervous system that you're safe. Yes.
This might not be a coincidence or not, but in band, my heart rate is the same rate as the tempo that I was playing in band during my
That's actually really neat. I love that.
hate
Yeah.
Basically what she said, but same beat as the drum.
Okay, so it was the same as the drum.
Yes.
Interesting. Did you have something you wanted to add? All right. Next thing we're gonna do is the pretzel breaths. I want you to take your hands, stick them straight out in front of you. Cross them at the elbows. Cross them at the elbows. Flip the palms towards each other. Interlace your fingers and bring the hands up. Now listen, if this feels weird in your body, not weird like fun weird, but like if it feels uncomfortable, if it feels like my arms don't like that, my shoulder doesn't like that, then just release and hold your hands like this. Okay. Otherwise, bring yourself up. This is making a pretzel shape, right? So we've got a little pretzel going on. This is your inhale. When you exhale, you're going to undo the pretzel, unwind the pretzel. Inhale, bring it in. Ready? All right, here we go. We'll do maybe 6 of these, not too slow. We'll start in and out. That's 1. Inhale and exhale. That's 2. Inhale and exhale. 3. Inhale. Exhale. 4. Inhale. Exhale. That's 5. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Undo your fingers. We're going to do some mindful movement now. So I want you to imagine you're taking your palms away from each other. Round your back like you're slouching. Kind of like this. What's going to happen is you're going to inhale. You're going to rotate your palms to face each other. Pull the elbows back and bring your heart forward. And then exhale, bring the palms back outward facing and round the back out. So watch, you inhale, coming forward, heart comes forward, elbows pull back, palms are towards each other. Exhale, rounding down. This is flossing our back. This is going to be really good for our muscles and really good for our nervous system. Here we go. Inhale, bring it in, heart comes forward. Exhale, round the back. Palms away. Let's do that again. Inhale, pull the elbows back, heart forward. Exhale, round them out. Couple more of these. Ready? If you don't try it, it's not going to do anything, right? Give it a good try. Here we go. Inhale and exhale. Last one. Here we go. Inhale and exhale. I'll go ahead and tell you, if you're like this and you're flopping your arms around, I don't know what that does for you, but probably not much. This is going to be where you're going to feel the difference. If you don't want to feel different, that's fine. But if you're just kind of flopping your hands around, that's not going to make much change, right? We want to really move the muscles in a big dynamic way because that's what's going to affect us. Yes.
Right. So like, sorry, I can't like raise my hand.
No, don't apologize. I like it.
When I was like breathing, like when I doing like that,
Mhm.
I started yawning.
Yep.
And like all of my breaths went out like exactly right when I got to here.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to know why you're yawning when you breathe? You're taking in more oxygen than you're used to. And so your body responds by yawning. The only way that you can really kind of fix that is the more you practice deep breathing, the more that your body will become used to that amount of oxygen. Now y'all are making me yawn. Oh, all right. Next, just chill where you're at. I want to tell you about something cool. So I learned this the other day. I thought this was really interesting. And it's something that's been around for a while. So I was really surprised that I hadn't heard of this yet. You guys have probably heard like, oh, that's so triggering. I'm so triggered.
Nope.
Those are my triggers, right? Have you heard stuff like that? Okay, so when people talk about that, they usually mean that something that really gets them like, oh, like in a not great place. So like, I'll give you an example. Somebody who maybe was in a car crash might be triggered by loud noise. What that means is that that thing that was really traumatic, the thing that was really scary, something loud reminds them of that because the car crash was loud. Or let's say that if someone comments and says, oh, you you have a lot of freckles, as an example, because I have a lot of freckles. Maybe that triggers me because once upon a time somebody said freckles were ugly, right? And so this is not true. This is just something I'm making up, but like I might be triggered by someone talking about my freckles, which puts me on edge. A trigger like puts you on edge, makes you feel really uncomfortable, makes you be like suddenly very tense. You're all the way like, oh, I'm not okay. I'm suddenly not okay. Like that really triggers me. Thank you, but I really hate that sound, or I don't like it when people hug me without telling me. Like being hugged without me saying I'm okay with it could be a trigger for somebody, especially if they just don't like touch, if they have like a sensory issue, or maybe they've been in a situation where people were too physical and they didn't like that. Does that make sense? I've even heard people say that someone trying to like tickle them made them really uncomfortable because they're like, I don't like that, please don't do that. And there can be no good reason. It doesn't have to always have a reason. You could just be triggered by something because you don't like it, because it's something that puts your nervous system on edge, right? Something that makes you feel worked up. That's really triggering for me. I will say this too, let's say trigger warnings on TV where they're like, hey, trigger warning, you may not want to read this article because it has to deal with animals being harmed, right? That could be a trigger for people. It might make them really upset and distressed and sad, so they don't want to see that, right? That's a trigger for them. So the opposite of triggers. Anybody heard of what the opposite is? Okay. So you got triggers, things that like put you on edge, things that make you feel really like, oh, I'm distressed, I don't like that. Glimmers are the opposite. I did not make this up. I did not make this up. A glimmer is something that makes you feel really good, that gives you delight, that makes you feel, oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. It's like you have to find both, right? So it's okay to be aware of your triggers, but you should also be aware of the things that make you feel alive and make you feel joy and make you feel delight. So example, 2 or 3 days ago, I can't remember when, I was outside and a butterfly landed on my hand. And I was delighted. I was like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. That was a glimmer for me. They say like glimmers of light in your life, things that make you feel warm and good and happy and like, oh, that was so cool, yay. Or it's like seeing a rainbow if you're driving down the road, that is a glimmer. Other things might be like, oh, my cat just curled up in my lap and went to sleep. Like that makes me feel so happy. That makes me feel so safe. It makes me feel so, it's the opposite of trigger. Trigger's distressing. A glimmer is something that's like soothing or fun or delightful. And it's all about what you let into your brain all the time that's going to determine that. I'll come back to that in a second, but I have a thought back here. Yes. What are you going to say?
My cat comes on my bed every night and then sleeps on me.
See, that sounds like a glimmer to me. Where you're just like, oh, that's so nice. Like those are, so yeah, let me hear some glimmers. What are some things that happen to you that you're like, that makes me feel delight, that makes me feel joy, that makes me feel safe, soothed? Yeah.
So probably my glimmer is whenever I'm in band and we have like some funny moments like last year. It's kind of weird, but we took off my shoes, stacked it in a pile, and just like played to it. I know it's weird, right?
But it was funny. Glimmers are things that make life worth
Jonathan.
living. Glimmers are things that make life fun, delightful, like laughter and bonding with your friends. Those are glimmers. Triggers are stuff that are like, that's negative, I don't like that. Some people like just being yelled at, like volume itself, it's triggering. Like, please don't yell at me, I can't handle intense volume. But a glimmer might be, singing a song, or again, finding like, or seeing a horse galloping, because that makes them remember, that they were doing horseback riding lessons one time, and that was a fond memory they have. Or smelling their grandmother's cooking makes them feel very at peace. It's all about, you got to find which one. Sometimes, well, not find which one, but you have to, whichever one you focus on is going to be the one that you notice all the time. So if you're focusing on triggers all the time, that's going to be what your brain pays attention to. But if you start to focus on finding the things in life that you delight in, or that make you feel joyful, that make you feel warm, that's going to be where your brain goes. You can train your brain to pay attention to whichever, right? There's an old proverb that says, you've got 2 wolves inside of you, a good wolf and a bad wolf. I think it's a Native American proverb. I would have to find the source. Forgive me. You have a good wolf inside that helps you make good choices. You have a bad wolf inside that, encourages you to make bad choices. And the question is like, which wolf wins in this battle between the 2 wolves? And the answer is whichever one you feed, right? if you're feeding constantly, just looking for your triggers, if you're feeding constantly, what are the things that make me unhappy? What are the things that make me stressed? What are the things that make me angry? What are the things that, woe is me, no one likes me, everyone's on my nerves, I can't stand this. If that's the filter through which everything in your life is coming, then of course that's what's going to grow. That's the thing you're feeding. If you feed the glimmers, if you feed, yes, bad things happen, and I can still choose to look for things that give me delight. I can still choose to focus on things that feel good. Every day you could lay down at night and go, let me list a glimmer that I found today, or 2 glimmers that I found today, right? That would be something that would help retrain your brain to start looking for those things. And I'll tell you a story in just a second, but yes, what's your comment?
I was gonna say one of my glimmers. It has to do with my grandma, cause like around Christmas, I wake up and she has this like really like fluffy blanket that like I sleep in a lot.
Yeah.
And she like gets like another blanket that's like the same like amount of like fluff and warm. And I like wrap up in it, and I'm like really cold. It's like around Christmas and stuff like that. AC. And she orders, I think it was Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, and she either orders hot cocoa from there, or she makes it herself while we watch stuff like the Polar Express.
That sounds really lovely. Like that's so
because
nice.
The Polar Express is one of my favorite movies too.
Traditions can be glimmers for us, can't they? Like if you have a special
Yeah,
tradition with your
because-
family around any holiday.
Right, because like
That can be a
every
glimmer.
single Christmas, we call my aunts and we call my aunts or aunts, and they're both LGBT, nice, and they live in Illinois, so we don't really see them at all.
Sure.
Yeah, but then we call them on Christmas and we see the gifts that we gave them and they gave us, and we make these there's like cookies for Christmas. So you like get the cookies, cut them out, bake them, yada yada yada, and then you color them.
Yeah.
So it's like art, but it's like with sugar because you use the frost.
That's so cool.
And then we all eat them. And funny story, I was trying to like color in a snowflake with blue, and it was really hard to squeeze it. And the thing off the side, it just.
Yep. So it not only is that a glimmer because it's like a warm, fuzzy, good thing.
Yeah.
It also was a funny thing.
Also,
so,
pigs in a blanket.
Yeah. Y'all pay attention to those glimmers. Let me see some more, just very quickly, if you want to share some.
All right, okay.
Yep.
So I don't know, like it just like seems like it just like makes me like happy. But basically, to like my old school at Kylo, like I just remember like there's like a certain smell. Okay, it's like right after like it's like your last period. So I had 3 periods. I had math. No, I had homeroom, math, science, and then social studies, and then English arts. Especially in English arts, we go to recess, and like the lunchroom, we actually like pass through to go to the back to the playground, and like there's just a certain smell like the cleaning, and like right when like you go outside, like cool air just like goes onto you from the outside, and like there's just a certain smell that just like
Just the smell alone.
yeah,
Is the
I just
glimmer.
want like be a teacher there one day.
Yeah. Pay attention to that. Smells can bring you there. Like if you have a particular smell that you like, smells can be triggering too. There might be a particular smell that you don't like because it reminds you of something bad. This is weird, y'all, but there's a certain type of hand soap that I was using, and I was in a job, 2 jobs before this one. I was in a job that I really did not like, and I was very unhappy. And they had this particular brand of hand soap, and I cannot use that hand soap ever in my life. If I see it, I'm like, I'm not using that, because when I smell it, it takes me back to this really unhappy time in my life. It's very triggering. So smells are powerful. They can be things that make you feel glimmers and make you feel good, or they can be triggering. But if you have smells that you like, cultivate that. Surround yourself with smells that make you feel good and alive and peaceful. Yes.
Okay, so this happened like an hour or 2 ago. It was Tiger time, and we were playing gotcha in the gym. And so me and Aston went up together, and I went up what's his name? Who? The dude that I went against. Quinn. Yeah, so I went against this dude Quinn, and I made it in the first shot, and I was
Okay.
like really proud of myself.
Perfect. See, that's another glimmer when you do something you're proud of. All those things. Yes.
So at summer break, when I was at my aunt's house, mm, the whole family, we had a movie night.
That sounds awesome. What a fun glimmer.
What'd you watch? It's that movie. I don't know the title name, but that movie, I think it's a family drama movie.
Okay.
It's a movie that
Home Alone.
not Home Alone.
It's all good. I'm sure it was a lovely movie though, wasn't it? To watch it with your family, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are certain.
Who has not shared one? I've seen people raise their hands many times. I want to make sure everybody gets, who hasn't had a chance to share one, gets a chance to share one. You and then you. So yes.
I got this like 15-pound weighted blanket last year
Love a
during
weighted blanket.
Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
And every time I laid down to go to sleep at like 9, I just love the weighted blanket. It doesn't
It's-
even feel heavy anymore. Before it was really heavy.
I know, same.
I need to get
Mine
something
is
heavier.
a heavy one.
Like how heavy?
Like I think it's 15 pounds, maybe 20 pounds. Like it's
I need to get 30
it's
then.
it's heavy. Like, but I love it. Like when I come home and I'm all the way done for the day, like I've done all of my like
The weight is
bedtime
different than
routine.
like
I'm like,
a
yeah.
the weight is different than like anxious weight, you know, like
Yes,
stress
yes.
weight. It's
Yes.
just yeah.
I feel you. Last one's Carmen right here. It's okay.
Oh,
Oh, got it.
Robinson Elementary. There was a chicken plant right next to it, and
Yeah.
sometimes it was stink.
Yeah, and that's not a glimmer, is it? When we smell things that don't smell good. So here is your job. Because we don't have that much time. I need you to look for a glimmer, because right now it's Friday. Over the weekend, or if you're watching this later, the next 2 days, find a glimmer. It doesn't have to be just one time a year, like I only find glimmers at Christmas. You should be able to find a glimmer every day. Here's why. You have something in your brain, which we have not talked about. We did like the brain hand model, but there's another part of your brain called your reticular activating system. Don't worry about that. RAS is what you can think of it instead. Your RAS basically chooses what's important for you to pay attention to. Your brain is constantly surrounded with stimulus, right? By that, I mean, there is stuff happening everywhere all the time. There is noise from the air conditioner. There's a bunch of signs and colors in here. There's people in here. There's sounds, textures, the feel of your clothes on your body, the sound of my voice. Like there's so much happening all the time that your brain, if it tried to take all of it in at once, your brain would like melt, right? So your brain says, I cannot pay attention to all of that. I'm only going to pay attention to things that are important. So example, if someone calls your name across a crowded room where it's loud, you'll turn and hear it because your brain has chosen to listen for that. It says, all this other noise is not important, but I'm going to let that information in every single time because that's important. So if my name is Ellen and I'm in a really crowded room, or maybe I'm at Six Flags, I will turn my head every time somebody says the name Ellen because my brain says, okay, that's important. You need to pay attention to that. I bought a new car last year. And before I bought that car, I couldn't have really told you what a CRV looked like, but now I own a CRV. And every time I see a CRV now, I'm like, that's my car. Why? Because suddenly my brain has decided that's important information. That's important. That's the kind of car you drive. I can't pay attention to every car on the road. That's not important to my brain. It's too much data. But I chose in my brain to focus on a CRV because it matters. If you are looking for a certain type of tennis shoe, you're like, oh, I really want that new pair of shoes. Everybody's wearing them. You start noticing them everywhere, right? Because your brain has chosen that information is important. You're not noticing every shoe everybody's wearing, but you're noticing those particular shoes. Oh, they have that pair of shoe. Oh, they have them too. That person has that brand. Oh, I want one because now it's important. If you choose to make glimmers important, then you will start to notice them. Paying attention to the things that make you happy will train your brain to pay more attention to it and more attention to it and more attention to it, right? Because you say, every time I feel delight, every time I feel joy, every time I have a little boost, I'm going to notice that on purpose. I'm going to say, that's a glimmer. Then you'll start noticing them more and more because you've said that piece of information is important, brain. Now you are training your brain to become happier, to become more aware of your own joy. Instead of paying attention to triggers only, you're paying attention to your glimmers too. And you're saying, hey, brain, that's important. Pay attention to your glimmers. I started noticing it every time. So like when that butterfly landed on my hand the other day, I was like, oh, that's a glimmer. And that was a cool thing, but now it's been staying with me more. And even since then, I've started noticing butterfly stuff everywhere. There's a butterfly above that doorway over there because butterflies are now important to me. They've always been very cool, but since the butterfly landed on my hand, I've started noticing butterflies on stuff because that was a really cool moment for me, right? My brain has started to let that in. Instead of letting in negative stuff, I'm letting in positive stuff, right? Does good things to your brain, but it takes a while to train it. So don't give up. Think of a glimmer every day that before you lay down to go to sleep. What was the glimmer I found today? And if you don't have one, that's okay. Try to look for it the next day, right? Sound good? Okay, that's all I have. I need you. I'm going to stop the recording.